suffered multiple leg injuries, and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says those injuries are non-life-threatening. Emergency personnel responded to the crash at 7:12 a.m. Pacific time and extracted Woods from the car through the front windshield. Woods was rushed to the hospital where he went into surgery. Wilbon, your reaction to all of this?
Tony, I'm sure my reaction was probably just about like everybody else's: stunned, sad, very, very sad. Immediately you hope for the best. And I'm grateful that it wasn't as bad as another tragedy in Southern California of a year ago, and we all know what I'm referring to. And you just want this to turn out as well as it can. You hear about surgery and rush to the hospital, and while none of these things are good, you're hoping for the best. And I am not one to get involved now, Tony, nor do I really care to, in speculation. I want the best for Tiger Woods and his family, but specifically for Tiger Woods coming out of these surgeries. I'm hoping for the best. And I know that sounds trite and it's not very expansive, but I don't feel in that mood right now.
No, I understand that. I mean, I wrote down, when I heard about this around 2:30 Eastern time today, when I heard about this, I wrote down my reactions in order. I mean, first one, is he all right? Is he alive? Because I think the initial reports talked about the jaws of life being used to get him out of the car, and you go, oh, how terrible could that be? Then you find out that he is alive and he's all right, and you say, can he play again? Is he going to be able to play golf? We know, for example, the history of Ben Hogan. In a terrible car accident, was able to play golf and won a bunch of majors after that. Then beyond can he play again, to me it was will he play again? Because he's had so much stuff with his back and with his knees over a long period of time. Will he play again? And the fourth thing I wrote down, is that we've been through this thing with him, with accidents. I mean, his career is defined by great highs and terrible lows. And so you wonder what caused this, what was it about, what was his state of mind? And all of those things sort of run together in giant circles. I'm sure you felt the same way.
Yeah, I didn't even get, Tony, to much of the golf. I mean, Tiger's in his mid-40s now. I mean, we weren't going to see him play golf forever, but you don't want it to be this that takes away whatever time is left. I did think about the highs. I mean, very few professional athletes or people in public life have had the public highs that Tiger Woods has had. And we have enjoyed those and been along for the ride with him. And that's been for more than 2 decades now. But then there have been some lows that are dramatic. And you're just wondering, like, wow, I mean, what does this mean? But I really wasn't in the space of what it means as much as I just hope that coming out of this, when we receive accurate reports of how he's doing, that he is doing well.
So the other day, and it is the other day, it's yesterday, we talked about his conversation with Jim Nantz and whether or not he was going to play in Augusta this year. And I remember saying on the air, well, if that didn't work out, if in fact he never played again for one reason or another, physical is what I thought at that point, that his body just wouldn't take it, then the last time we would have seen him was playing with his son in that tournament. And for me, that had a certain joy to it. And not that I hope that happens. I hope he gets to play again. But if not, again, to play with your kid,
well, at the very least, I want him to be able to do that. You know what, Tony? I did think of that, about the joy I get from going out and playing with my son. And if it's never at Augusta National, if it's never for prize money, just to go out there and play with Charlie or whomever he wants to play with and enjoy that part of his life, which he should have a whole lot of time left since he's only in his mid-40s.
We will transition now to the other sports news of the day. The Los Angeles Lakers lost again last night, this time to the surging Washington Wizards. This was the Lakers' 4th loss in their last 5 games without Anthony Davis, who may not be back for a month. After the game, LeBron James pushed back on the notion that at 36, he's logging too many minutes. He played 43 last night. Wilbon, can the Lakers ride this out as is, or do they need to change that roster?
Tony, I don't know about changing the roster because I don't know how much they can change it in a way that would make up for the loss of Anthony Davis for at least a month. I don't. That ain't happening. So they're going to make up for Anthony Davis. Now, the whole LeBron question is interesting. I watched with great interest and great satisfaction at LeBron say, No, we're not. I'm not going to get into reducing minutes. I haven't asked for it. I don't care about it. I don't particularly want it. I'm doing what I have to do. I just thought standing ovation for LeBron James, because that's who he's been in his career. And so he's trying to do that now. I realized that even though he and Tom Brady seem to just be able to stiff arm Father Time, that they can't. And LeBron is older and he can't play 40 minutes every night. But one, Tony, that game, as I texted you when you were deep asleep and I was screaming and awake and on text chains with various people, that game was fabulous. It was so entertaining and dramatic. And the Wizards are a story to fewer people, you and me, because of our lives lived in Washington, D.C. But the Lakers are the bigger drama. What do they do while Anthony Davis is out? How much can you expect from LeBron? How much more? And, Tony, I don't know about riding this out. They will ride it out. Will they ride it out and go into the playoffs with some momentum, some steam? Can they defend the championship with a reduced Anthony Davis? We don't know, and that's the drama we're watching.
So I'm going to give the kids out there a little quick history lesson, and it is quick history. Without Anthony Davis in 2019, they missed the playoffs. That's how important he is. He goes to the team, and they win the championship. And they had a better roster then than they have now if you take out Anthony Davis, because then they had Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram. Okay, they were better then and didn't make the playoffs at all. I think they have to make roster changes. And I'm not going to talk about LeBron and his minutes. I don't care if he plays 100 minutes. If you don't have Anthony Davis, you're not going to win many games. You're a mediocre team. Blake Griffin is out there. Andre Drummond is out there. Boogie Cousins is out there. These people are out there. Blake Griffin can go back into the gym where he was once good. I just think they're going to have to do something, Mike. And now, because of the bell, I don't have enough time to talk about the Wizards and how I told you they'd finish ahead of Houston after they made that trade, and you laughed at me. And who's laughing now?
Stop. This is your obsession with John Wall. Pay attention to these Wizards if you can stay awake and revel in what Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook did last night. You can't stop both of them.
Russell Westbrook is a far superior player to John Wall, works better with Bradley Beal. If I'm not mistaken, on the road, they've beaten Denver, Portland, and the Lakers in succession.
Pretty good.
This is their trajectory. This is Houston's. This is Washington's.
They're going to forget Houston. Stop ripping John Wall. It's unseemly that you're doing that.
You told me
the Wizards
you
going
insisted
to make the
they'd make the playoffs. Yes. Yes.
I picked them to make the playoffs. Now you're joining me. You're saying yes, they'll make it.
Look at my hand. Albert Pujols' wife recently posted on Instagram that this would be Pujols' last season. Pujols responded to the initial post with 3 heart emojis, like he liked it. But the original message was amended by Mrs. Pujols to say, this is not about retirement. Huh? Pujols is in the final year of his 10-year, $240 million contract with the Angels. He's 41 years old. Wilbon, if Pujols wants to keep playing, can you see a team making him an offer?
I mean, sure. In what limited role? He could go back to St. Louis maybe and have a glorious ending and wave goodbye, the people, the Queen's wave, and he can be a DH, whatever. That doesn't matter. Pujols is not Tom Brady or LeBron James. They got to have that, yes. He's not LeBron James or Tom Brady. All right, so his career is effectively over. At 41, we're not talking about how many more championships for Mr. Pujols. He had it because he was Lou Gehrig for the first 10 years, and he's been much lesser than that in the last 10 years. So it doesn't matter, Tony. Speaking of things that are big deal, little deal, no deal, this is very, 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 very little to no deal. His time as a great, great athlete, and he is a first ballot, walk through the door, nobody argue Hall of Famer. But it's pretty much done, okay? So it doesn't matter where he waves goodbye from.
So let's cross-pollinate sports a little bit. Let's cross-pollinate. This is the exact same question we have about Ben Roethlisberger and Cam Newton, because what we have seen recently isn't anywhere near the level that they used to be. Albert Pujols last year, what did he bat? 224, and the 2 years before that, 244 and 245. Will somebody take him? Yeah, somebody's going to take him because they're going to sell tickets when fans are allowed back in. I understand that. I don't think St. Louis is the place because I don't think he's going to take time away from Goldschmidt unless there's a universal DH. But his numbers in St. Louis compared to Anaheim are amazing. It's like the San Andreas Fault. He batted .328 in St. Louis, 257 in Anaheim. 445 homers in St. Louis, 217 in Anaheim. 1,300 RBI in St. Louis, 770 in Anaheim. And this is why, Mike, you don't give people long-term contracts over 30. You don't, because you don't get a return.
You can have long-term, but not this long a term. You can go to 35 or 36. Again, he was Lou Gehrig. Albert Pujols was one of the, 4 greatest first basemen of all time? Maybe one of the 2, all right? He was that great. And then he went to Anaheim.
In St. Louis.
And
yeah.
In St. Louis, he was that great. In Anaheim, it's been just all right. He's got some power numbers. It's over. And Tony, he's not being forced out by injury. He's 41. No. It's, again, right. Not Brady, not LeBron.
Look, the rest of his career is chasing numbers. He's got 662 home runs. It's 5th all-time. Needs 34 to catch A-Rod. He's 3rd all-time in RBI, Mike. Needs 114 to catch, hello, Babe Ruth. Shout out Babe Ruth. I don't know if he gets 114. He needs 100 hits to move into the top 10 of all time. That's what it's about now. Let's take a break. Coming up, what's the word for Marcus Foligno asking the officials to break up the fight that he was winning?
And we'll take you step by step through Donovan Mitchell's controversial three-pointer. It wasn't controversial. It should have been illegal.
The producers could not come up with compelling toss-ups, so they punted to what's the word. What's first?
Marcus Foligno was blank to ask the officials to break up his fight with Nikolai Kunishev.
Humanitarian. This kid should not have been out there with Foligno. Foligno is a tough guy. We used to call them goons. You're not allowed to say goons, so now we just say people are tough guys. This guy has had 45 fights. He's probably won 35 to 40 of them. If he was a boxer, he'd either be fighting for the world title or he'd already have the world title. This other kid had never been in a fight before, and Foligno was hitting him right after right after right. He looks at the referees and he says, enough, end this thing before I kill this kid. So to me, this is humanitarian. And by the way, Foligno had the Gordie Howe hat trick. He had a goal, an assist, and a fight.
This is instructive, or it should be, Tony, and I don't take this lightly. 20 years ago on this show, or damn near 20 years ago, I started railing about how great a sport hockey was, and it's greater without the fighting. And we used to get all kinds of pushback, even guests on this show said, no, you have to have the fighting, and no, you don't have to have the damn fighting. Because the fighting's been reduced by about 80%. And the sport is better, the game is better, the reception, the reaction to it, the game is better. You don't need this. So fighting is largely out of the NHL. It needs to be entirely out of the NHL.
Next.
Donovan Mitchell's step-back 3 was blank.
It was illegal, and I'm getting my glasses because I have to quote the announcer. It wasn't a step-back 3. It was a step-back 3. He was inside the line by a goodly margin. He began meandering backwards. The announcer said, I'm quoting, how did Mitchell get behind the line from where he was? Now, I know, Mike, you think Mitchell is a superstar, and I know you think that Utah is a great team. And Utah may be a great team. They hit about 50 million threes all the time. But this 3 was utterly illegal. It's like LeBron the other day with the 5-step dunk. When it wasn't a Euro step, it was Europe and Asia step. This is the same thing.
Yeah, it's a word for it already in the basketball lexicon. Traveling. Blow the whistle. Beep. Yeah. Traveling. That's what it is. It's traveling. He was closer to the foul line at one point than he was to the arc, the top of the arc. I know what's going to happen. I know that calls can be missed. It's not a big deal. What happened to that game? Little deal, big deal, no deal at all. What happened to that? This is no deal, or at least a very little deal, but it is traveling. And the Utah Jazz keep winning because they were down, I think, in the third quarter of that game by double digits, came back and just smoked Charlotte. Utah Jazz, worth watching, Tony. You should try it sometime.
No, they shoot more threes. They hit more threes than anybody.
And
that's
Donovan
it. No
Mitchell
more words.
is a star.
Let's take one last break. He's not a superstar, not yet.
Big star.
Still to come, Duke posts. He's a star, not a superstar. Duke posts yet another win of the Blue Devils. Work their way on to the tournament bubble. Oh, they're beyond the bubble. Stop it.
Yeah, they're beyond that. What's the meaning behind J.J. Watt's latest cryptic tweet.
They're not on the bubble. They're in the people. Happy 58th birthday, Bobby Bonilla. Hardly anybody remembers that Bonilla was a 6-time All-Star, or that his home run in Game 7 started the comeback that won the 1997 World Series for the Marlins. What people remember is that Bonilla signed a contract with the Mets in 2000 for a boatload of deferred money, a boatload the size of the Queen Mary. Rather than take $5.9 million to go away, every July 1st, from 2011 until 2035, Bonilla receives $1.19 million. Someone at Business Insider says that had Bonilla taken the $5.9 million originally and invested it at 8% interest, he'd have $104 million in 2035. Yeah, good luck getting a guaranteed 8%. More to the point, Steve Cohen, the new owner of the Mets, wants July 1st to be Bobby Bonilla Day, where Cohen hands Bonilla an oversized check and has him take a lap around the field in a golf cart. This is a fabulous idea. I volunteer to drive the cart.
Well, even without the guaranteed 8%, by 2035, he will have gotten $29 million, right close to $30 million, Tone, instead of taking the 5.9. So that is smarter as well.
Seems to me he's in a no-lose situation. Happy
That's
anniversary, right. Michael Edwards. You might remember him better as Eddie the Eagle, British ski jumper. On this day 33 years ago, Eddie the Eagle became the surprise underdog star of the Calgary Olympics by participating in the ski jump, the first Brit to ever do that. Eddie finished dead last in both events he entered, ridiculously far behind the next to last finisher. But he became an inspiration to all sorts of couch-bound wannabes. The International Olympic Committee did not laugh along, though. They put in a rule requiring Olympic hopefuls to compete in international events and do reasonably well, not just walk out of a pub and into the Olympics. On a personal note, the ski jump isn't nearly as high off the ground as you think when you watch on TV. I doubt the jumper's ever more than 20 to 25 feet up in the air, if that. It just looks like he's soaring into space.
Tone, I have been standing down there as skiers land. You see those people down at the bottom. You've been there, too, at the Olympics. I watched Matty Niemann, I think, a Finnish jumper, win the gold medal.
Yeah.
He was like 15 or 16 years old. And it's amazing. It's breathtaking. I don't know how high it is, but it's breathtaking.
Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful to watch. It really is. Happy trails to another Duke opponent. This time it was Syracuse as Duke won their 4th straight game last night, blowing out Syracuse at Cameron Indoor, ending the first half up 52-34. Duke's now 11-8 overall. They're 9-6 in the ACC. This one counts as a Quadrant 2 win and improves Duke to 6-6 in Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 games for those who worship at the altar of Joe Lunardi. Duke has Louisville, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina still to go, and 2 wins there ought to get the Blue Devils into the tournament comfortably. This was Duke's 4th straight win since freshman Jalen Johnson left the team to prepare for the NBA. Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim suggested a few days ago that Duke might be better off without him and took gas for it, but it's becoming increasingly hard to argue.
Okay, you know how much I love Jim Boeheim. I think you can't suggest that a team is better off without a kid who's an amateur, who, would understandably have his feelings rocked when he hears a coach probably who recruited him at one time say that. So hey, let's just slow our roll on that one.
Well, I would just say this, that it's perfectly reasonable to prepare for the NBA, to prepare for the draft.
Is,
That's where your future's going to be.
Yes, that
you don't even want to be
both.
You don't even want to be in college. You want to be in the NBA. One era, the Finnish ski jumper was Matti Mikkonen.
Mikkonen. I remember the no. Mikkonen.
Why are you giving me a correction if I don't know how to say it? Let's go to the big
I just missed it by a little bit.
White Sox star Tim Anderson met with Tony La Russa and he said, quote, "I'm behind him," unquote. Your thoughts?
Anderson is an incredibly important member of that team, but La Russa is going to have to win over more than just Tim Anderson, I would think. J.J. Watt tweeted, quote, "Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell," close quote. What the hell does that mean?
I have no idea what it means. I can barely say mitochondria, but some people are saying there's a research center in Buffalo, so it means he's going to the Bills. Who knows? Pau Gasol signed with FC Barcelona. Is that significant?
Well, he's back in Spain. Maybe he's a dual citizen. He's in California a lot, Spain. FC Barcelona, how can you go wrong playing for them? Aaron Rodgers officially engaged to Shailene Woodley and will host 10 episodes of Jeopardy starting April 5th. Which is the bigger deal, marriage or Jeopardy?
Well, the bigger deal is marriage, obviously. Shailene Woodley was in the
marriage
Descendants.
is
She's just terrific. Last one, NBA All-Star reserves are named tonight. Who's going to get snubbed?
I don't know, but my man Devin Booker and Zach LaVine, they both better make their respective All-Star teams. Better be in. Better be included.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast.